had a pre-Roe v. Wade abortion, and I know the suffering that millions of women are going to go through, and it's if they live through it. And in some ways, it's The Handmaid's Tale, which I saw and thought this was all too familiar and all too terrifying.
To say that we're devastated is a fucking understatement. We knew it was coming, but holy shit.
I've always thought that Roe versus Wade was wrongly decided by the court in 1973. To be alive today and to be involved in this work on this day in history is more than I could have ever dreamed of. And I'm just absolutely humbled by it.
Today is a gut punch. It is not unforeseen because anyone who has paid attention even a small bit knows with the two nominees during the Trump presidency, if anything, this was the most foreseeable thing to happen. However, it is a terrifying reality that we're living in.
A big part of this is women's health and reproductive rights of women. We'll say that this being overturned, unfortunately, is just going to decrease access to safe abortion. Huge setback when it comes to women's rights.
I'm really happy for all of the pro-life advocates south of the border. I'm happy for the movement here because I think it will definitely reinvigorate us. It will help us in terms of starting these conversations with our friends and family members. And so I'm very happy knowing that there will be children who are alive thanks to this news.
Catherine Glenn Foster is the president of Americans United for Life, a group that seeks to advance anti-abortion laws in the United States. She's in San Francisco. On a personal level, what was your reaction when you heard the Supreme Court decision?
You know, being a post-abortive woman myself, I celebrated that women going forward will be able to have, resources, that life will be preserved and cherished, and that everything that we've worked for these 50 years has finally come to this inflection point where we can work to preserve and protect the rights of all human beings.
I'm sure you've seen the reaction today among many women in the United States who have responded with anger, with despair, and who say that the United States has taken a step backwards. What would you say to them tonight?
You know, I've walked in their shoes. I felt that same despair when I was 19 years old. I think we need to come together and discuss what the future needs to look like, a future that welcomes all members of the human family. And once we take a look at what resources we can offer, what hope we can offer, and recognize that we're really all in this together and we have more in common than we do differences, I think things will look much brighter going forward.
You know, you talk about resources and you talk about support, and yet there are many women in the United States who say that if they're forced to carry a pregnancy that they're just not financially able to carry because of their circumstances, it would cause real difficulty for them. What commitment are you making, should be made, to support those women?
Yeah, that's actually one of the top 3 reasons why women have abortions, choose abortion. And that's true from first trimester all the way through late term. It's financial issues, relationship problems, and not feeling ready to be a parent. All of those are areas where we as a humane community and a humane nation need to be coming alongside women and resourcing them. That can take a whole lot of different forms: government support, community support, you name it. I'm in favor of all of it. You know, whatever people need in order to advance themselves, whether they're pregnant or not, that's what we're for.
This is a big win, if we're going to look at this in terms of wins and losses, for your organization. Is this the end of your campaign, or if not, what's next?
Not even close to the end. This is, it really is step 1 almost. It's the end of the beginning. And now we're able to finally encourage states to work to protect all human life. We're able to hold lawmakers accountable for what they say and do to protect human life. Our work has just begun.
Catherine Glenn Foster, thank you. Dr. Selina Sandoval is an OB/GYN who strongly supports a woman's right to choose. She's in San Diego. And Dr. Sandoval, what was your reaction today when you first heard about the Supreme Court decision?
Yes, thank you for having me. You know, regardless of how expected this ruling was, seeing it in writing really was completely devastating. I was sitting outside the operating room ready to actually provide abortion care in my morning this morning. I was refreshing the Supreme Court website when I saw the ruling, and as heartbreaking as that was, I was grateful to be in a state that does support a person's right to have reproductive autonomy and a state that does protect abortion access. And so I was lucky enough to be able to continue and provide care today to the patients I promised that care to.
So those patients obviously have access to abortions, but what is the reality across the country tonight?
Yeah, thank you. About 36 million people in the United States will lose access to abortion care. So that's about 26 states that are already poised to enact bans that some already have. So those are complete bans, pre-Roe bans, or early gestational age cutoffs. And so those patients will not have the right to get an abortion in their state. They will be forced to travel out of state for those that have the means to do so, which of course will be very expensive. And unfortunately, the vast majority of patients will not have the means to travel outside of their state. And those patients will be continued to continue their pregnancy or forced to continue their pregnancy and the risks that those entail, and they'll be forced to give birth.
So what's going to happen next? What are you going to do, for example, in terms of providing wider access to abortions?
Yeah, so our community is going to continue to support patients in any way that we can to the full extent of the law. Personally, I will be returning to the Midwest where I did some medical training in order to provide full-time abortion care. And I expect a large proportion of my patients will be traveling out of the South.
So that's on the medical side. What about the political side? Those who were opposed to Roe v. Wade, they've been waging their campaign for a long time. They finally won here. What about those who want to now change today's decision?
That's right. So we will continue to fight. We will continue to testify, share what's the true medical facts about abortion care, how safe and common this care is, and we'll share with our political candidates and those that make our laws.
Yeah, I was kind of struck when I saw some of the footage from Washington, D.C. of those who were cheering the Supreme Court decision. There were some young women in those pictures who seemed very happy today. What would you say to them?
I would say that, if that's your belief, that's totally fine, but it is not your right to impose your belief on others.
Dr. Sandoval, thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you so much.